How to believe in your results when you apply the adaptive meshing methods to your FEA simulations. In previous video, we were working with the automatic alternatives that the FEA software offers us to create our mesh for our simulations. Well, more than create the mesh, it's to increase the accuracy of our simulation models. But why are we doing that? As always here, in FEA, we are looking for the accuracy and validation of our simulations in order to trust the results. Okay, so basically, we are starting from a correct and validated model that we prepare by the convergence mesh analysis, and we dedicated some time to prepare it. And as alternative, these automatic tools from the software are the adaptive methods that, depending on which one we use, it will adjust the accuracy of the simulation and adjust the mesh based on the mesh refinement, or it will increase the polynomial order of the elements. The important thing is that both of them are promising and could be useful in some cases, so I wanted to do a deeper analysis here to show you the level of impact that we will achieve. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, Carlos here, and for those of you who don't know me yet, I've been more than 12 years validating real engineering FEA projects across different industries. So I created my validation method to train FEA the way industry actually demands. You will find all the details in the description below. Now let's continue reviewing concepts of that methodology. Okay, here we have the 4 models that we prepared in previous video. Looking at the last one, we use the polynomial method. This method is very powerful since it's adjusting the polynomial order of the elements depending on the load that the component is receiving. Honestly, it sounds great. The only problem is that most of the times, maybe we cannot control that level of accuracy and we need to trust in what the FEA software is doing. Therefore, we are not going to use it quite often, but for some cases it's very interesting. So we'll come back again to this method. One important point that I wanted to highlight here is that in previous video, to run this PIM method, we had to change the type of contact interaction that we were using in our model. Basically, contact interactions will define how the components of our simulation will touch each other. This topic is one of the main pillars when working in real projects. In case that you decide to learn FEA with me, you will find a dedicated advanced training to master contact interaction in FEA with Solidworks simulation. And of course, I will be doing more videos about contact interaction. For the moment, just keep in mind that for bonded contact interactions, we have the possibility to increase the accuracy of our model by enforcing the mesh to match the nodes of the component. Let me show it to you very quick so you will understand it very clear. Here we have the comparison of both types of meshing. One of the models has a common nodes in the interactions and the other is doing the internal interpolation that SolidWorks does internally. As always, here we will have pros and cons of each one. If I zoom in into the interaction regions, here we can see how the mesh nodes are common between components, here, here, here. However, in this model, the nodes are not matching, right? Which one do you think that is going to be more accurate? Obviously, right? The mesh with common nodes will be always our target when working with real projects, since the level of accuracy will increase. However, as we need to consider the computational cost, most of the times we will run with incompatible mesh to understand global behaviors and use compatible mesh with common nodes for the final models. Don't worry, I will do more videos talking about contact interactions. Now let's come back to the adaptive methods. Let's review what happened with the method H. I will move there. Okay, here we are. We said that this method is refining our mesh considering the high stress regions, so it will adjust only the mesh in the regions where it's needed. When we previously ran under this method, these are the results. The thing is that the stress values are not bad. Well, we can say that they are not bad because we have a reference model with the convergence mesh that I prepared and the values are quite similar. But if we look at the mesh, we don't feel very comfortable, right? Let's do a couple of iterations to clarify this. I move it to the head of the simulation, right click and select properties. In order to understand the process, I'm going to reduce the target to 85%. I will click OK and close. Now we need to remesh again, so I will remesh, we say OK, and then with the same parameters by default, we'll create the mesh. OK, here we have it. So let's run this simulation. OK, the message appeared. It's saying that the analysis has satisfied the current age adaptive accuracy of 90.3%. Good. However, the software also is recommending to increase the target and rerun the simulation. Okay, let's take a look at the results. The mesh is not so bad. Well, basically because we can see that it didn't modify a lot from the default mesh. And the peak value is practically similar to the value that we obtained when we use the default mesh. Okay, so then let's follow the recommendation and let's increase the target. I'm moving again to properties and now I'm setting a 92%. So I click OK, let's remesh again, OK, remesh, and then let's run. OK, the message appeared again. Now we have achieved a 94.73 of accuracy. Not bad. However, he continues recommending me to increase the target. Let's take a look at the results. Okay, this value of stress is starting to be quite similar to the levels that we saw in our accurate model. Good. But as the software recommended, you may think that you should increase the target of accuracy and rerun. But now I want to ask you, at the end, what are we looking for? To have the maximum level of accuracy in our simulation, right? So that is our main objective here. So let me go again to properties. So here, what most of the times is suggested in normal training is to go to the 90% of accuracy as minimum. But this is working when you are preparing a very simple model that is not going to give you any problem. Okay, but we can see what happens here. I will increase the maximum number of loops to 5 in order to give it margin, and I will apply and close. I will remesh again and I will run this model. Okay, it's iterating. Okay, here we have the message. The analysis has satisfied the current age adaptive accuracy of 98.469%. Great. When you read this, you say, wow, I have a really accurate model, right? So now let's check the result. What do we have here? Basically, we see two main points. The first point is that the mesh got crazy and the software reduced the size drastically in some regions, right? And as a second point, that we can see is that the maximum value of stress is not in the bottom corner anymore. It moved to the connection with the extractor here. So we have the boundaries of the roller slider just to avoid the movement in X direction. But we are not restricting rotations and displacement in Y and Z direction. And the value of stress is 986.34 megapascal. A bit crazy, right? And look at the mesh. So following the theory, the software detected that this zone is receiving load, so the stress will increase, and it started to iterate with the mesh to achieve a level of accuracy of 98% of the results. Now, my question is, do you believe this? If I previously didn't carry out the convergence analysis and understand the behavior of this model, and validate my simulation by applying a correct mindset and engineering judgment, I would report that the critical region of this project is not the bottom corner, but is the connection with the extractor. And honestly, depending on how you frame that conclusion, it could make sense for some people. As the fork is transferring the load to the rest of the extractor, the main critical zone could be the interaction where the main load path is transferred, that is, the contact with the extractor. The problem is that the conclusion would be wrong, because we know that the weak zone of this component is not this, but is this. As I always say in my training programs, we are 100% responsible of our simulation results. We cannot depend on what the software is doing without doing our job first. I'm a big fan of automatic tools since they can help us to speed up some of our process, and it's what I always try to teach in my courses. But in this case, the adaptive methods are creating wrong results in our simulation analysis. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use them. In some of the cases, they can save your time. But when we start preparing larger models considering more components with contact interaction, bolted connections, welded connections, or advanced connectors, and so on, we have to define and take control of every point of our model, the mesh of the component, of each component, not only one component, the mesh of every component, how each component will interact with each other, how they will be connected, and so on. And this is what you need to keep in mind when applying FEA, because that will give us the control of the model and we will be able to guarantee the good performance of our simulation. What I'm creating here and in my training programs is a way of thinking and an engineering mindset that will prepare you for your real project simulations. As always, in next videos, I will continue bringing you interesting topics in FEA simulation. And if you want to make the difference and learn how to actually apply all of this in real engineering projects using my validation method, you can find all the details in the description below. Subscribe if you haven't yet. See you in next simulation.